world ومفس قدوس أدوامنا آمين بسم آب world ومفس قدوس أدوامنا آمين بسم آب world ومفس قدوس أدوامنا آمين. Blessings and love and blessings Timket. For those of you that are observing Timket, I'm just checking my watch and it is still morning, so I can say blessed morning. Yeah, I feel kind of spiritually renewed, or I'm tired, but I went to Timket last night in Birmingham. And yeah, it's just the most incredible experience, absolutely incredible. And yeah, maybe I'll do another video later or another time. I will put up some videos. I took lots of videos and photographs, so I'll put those up later today when I get the opportunity. But yeah, really beautiful. I just went for last night, Saturday night. It's continuing through the day up until late afternoon. So blessings to anyone there observing and anyone else observing these traditions. But yeah, absolutely incredible. So, but yeah, I am a bit tired today. But on with the reading still. No excuses. Gonna do these readings every single day. At the moment, I haven't dropped a single day, so I'm very proud of myself. So moving forwards, Leviticus 23, give thanks. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and tell them the set feasts of Yahweh, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my set feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but on the seventh day it is Sabbath, a solemn rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no kind of work. It is a Sabbath to Yahweh in all your dwellings. These are the set feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their appointed season. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, in the evening, is Yahweh's Passover. On the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread to Yahweh. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. And the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no regular work, but you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh 7 days. In the seventh day is a holy convocation. You shall do no regular work. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and tell them, when you have come into the land which I give to you, you shall reap its harvest. Then you shall bring the sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. He shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh to be accepted for you. On the next day after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. On the day when you wave the sheaf, you shall offer a male lamb without defect, a year old, for a burnt offering to Yahweh. The meal offering, which it shall be of 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil, an offering made by fire to Yahweh for a pleasant aroma. And the drink offering, when it shall be of wine, the fourth part of a hin. You shall not eat bread, or roasted grain, or fresh grain, until the same day, until you have brought the offering of your God. This is the statute forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings. You shall count from the next day after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering. 7 Sabbaths shall be completed. The next day after the 7th Sabbath you shall count 50 days, and you shall offer a new meal offering to Yahweh. You shall bring out the habitations 2 loaves of bread for a wave offering, made of 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour. They shall be baked with yeast for fine fruits of Yahweh. You shall present the bread 7 lambs without defect, a year old, 1 young bull and 2 rams. They shall be a burnt offering to Yahweh, with their meal offering and their drink offering, even an offering made by fire of a sweet aroma to Yahweh. You shall offer 1 male goat and for a sin offering, and 2 male lambs a year old for a sacrifice of peace offerings. The priest shall wave them with their bread in the first fruits for a wave offering before Yahweh, with 2 lambs. They shall be holy to Yahweh for the priest. You shall make proclamation on the same day that there shall be an holy convocation to you. You shall do no regular work. This is a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. When you reap the harvest of your land, you must not wholly reap into the corners of the fields. You must not gather into the gleanings of the harvest. You must leave them for the poor and for the foreigner. I am Yahweh your God. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, on the first day of the month, there shall be a solemn rest for you, a memorial of blowing of trumpets and holy convocation. You shall do no regular work. You shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, However, on the 10th day of this 10th month is the day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation to you. You shall afflict yourselves, and you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh. You shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make atonement for you before Yahweh your God. For whoever it is who shall not deny himself in the same day shall be cut off from the people. Whoever does any kind of work on that same day, I will destroy that person from amongst the people. You shall do no kind of work. It is a statute forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings. It shall be a Sabbath of solemn rest for you. You shall deny yourselves in the 9th day of the month at the evening, from the evening to the evening. You shall keep your Sabbath. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say, On the 15th day of the 7th month is the feast of the booths, for the 7 days of Yahweh. On the first day shall be a holy convocation. You shall do no regular work. On the 7th day you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation to you. You shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh. It is a solemn assembly. You shall do no regular work. These are the appointed feasts of Yahweh, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh, a burnt offering, a meal offering, a sacrifice, and a drink offering, each on its own day, in addition to the Sabbaths of Yahweh, and in addition to your gifts, and in addition to all your woes, and all your additions, to all your free will offerings, which you give to Yahweh. So on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered in the fruits of the land, you shall keep the feast of Yahweh 7 days. On the first day shall be a solemn rest, and on the 8th day shall be a solemn rest. You shall take on the first day of the fruit of majestic trees, branches of palm trees, and boughs of thick trees, and willows of brook, and you shall rejoice before Yahweh your God 7 days. You shall keep it as a feast to Yahweh 7 days in the year. It is a statute forever throughout your generations. You shall keep it in the 7th month. You shall dwell in the temporary shelters for 7 days. All who are native born in Israel shall dwell in temporary shelters, that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in So I'll read that sentence again. That your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in temporary shelters when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh your God. So Moses declared to the children of Israel the appointed feasts of Yahweh. Give thanks for these for you words, blessed love. Yeah, my tongue started to get tongue-tied in the end there, but got through to the end. Yeah, a lot going on, so give thanks. So one thing I quickly want to mention before I forget, because I forgot it in a previous reading, I find it interesting when they say when you reap the harvest in the fields that you should not go and reap in the corners of the fields. Because you're meant to leave that kind of excess to the poor and to the foreigners, it says, and I think that's really interesting. God is always remembering the poor and those in need, and that's not the first time we've heard that particular statute. And can't quite see it, place it now. I know roughly where it is. Yeah, when you reap the harvest in your land, you must not wholly reap into the corners of the fields, and you must not gather the gleanings of your harvest. You must leave them for the poor and for the foreigner. I am Yahweh your God. So don't go to excess. Do you know what I mean? Take as much as you need, reap as much as you need, but you don't have to get into a position when you've got much more. Don't go to the corners of the fields, I think is a beautiful analogy, and do not glean the gleanings of your harvest. Don't gather the gleanings of your harvest, all the extras. Actually leave that to the poor and to the needy. So I think that's beautiful. So I quickly wanted to mention that because I didn't want to forget that again. I've done something slightly different with today's reading. So I actually read it earlier in prep for this. Well, not in prep to record, but actually I had to stop recording. So I thought, actually, there's so much detail going on here. So I actually made some notes and did a bit of research and then started the recording again. Because I wanted to kind of break down the chapter, because it's all about the feasts and the 7 feasts that Yahweh has prescribed. So I thought it'd actually be useful to break that down. The first one in up to verse 3 is the Sabbath, and we've heard about the Sabbath plenty of times, to keep the 7th day holy, and that's a perpetual covenant. That's an ongoing ask for God, and it should be quite a simple ask because it's actually in our favor. Do you know what I mean? To have 6 days of work and 7 days of rest is in our own best interest, but yet it's still something that we can't quite do, which is an interesting contradiction, because the 7th day, in terms of a 7th day of rest, that's how it's positioned. It is also the day of worship to God, but it's actually labeled, 6 days work, 7th day of rest, and you must not do any work. So it's in our own best interest to do that. But how do we find that so difficult? The rest of the chapter is looking at the 7 days. So I will go through my notes. So the first one, which is verses 4 to 8. So that's the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which commemorates God bringing the people, children of Israel, out of Egypt. So that's the first one. The Feast of the First Fruits, which is verses 9 to 14, and this celebrates the harvest and symbolizes gratitude for God's provision. The Feast of Weeks, which is Pentecost, this is verses 15 to 22, and this marks the completion of the harvest and includes the offering of thanksgiving. And then it goes on to the Feast of Trumpets, which is verses 23 to 25. And this is the day of rest, trumpets blast, signaling the beginning of the sacred time. And then we have the Day of Atonement, which is Yom Kippur, as it's now known. And we heard about Yom Kippur a few chapters ago. So that's verses 26 to 32. So this is that solemn day of repentance, of atonement, of reconciliation with God. It's that reset when we're asking for forgiveness for all these times, and doing a spiritual renewal with God. So that's Yom Kippur, which still a very big festival within the Jewish community. And then we have the Feast of the Tabernacle, which is verses 33 to 44. This commemorates the Israelites' journey through the wilderness of God's provision through that time. So 7 feasts, which are prescribed. And, as I said at the very beginning of this recording, it's very apt that doing this reading today, on the day of the Epiphany, Timket, as it's known in Amharic, in Ethiopian Orthodox community. So this is commemorating Jesus's time when he was baptized in the River Jordan by John the Baptist. So to commemorate that part, the priests today will be spraying holy water, into the crowds, and holy water to bless the people and bless the masses. And water plays a big significant part of Timket. The main part of the tradition, which is what happened last night, and I believe is also going to happen today as well, is the procession of the tabots. So the tabot, as I'm sure you've heard me say many times, is the replica of the Ark of the Covenant. So Timket is the only time that they are taken out of the Holy of Holies. And the Ark of the Covenant represents Jesus Christos, the coming of the new law. So the tabot holds the Ten Commandments, and Jesus Christos is the new commandment. I'm going to have to end it abruptly here for 15 minutes. So blessed love, have a blessed day, and God be the glory, and see you more tomorrow. Give thanks. Love. Yeah, so I know that is an extremely abrupt ending, so I'm doing something else I've never done before. First, I'm using notes, which I don't usually do, and then I'm actually going to record a part 2 straight away, because I know that was extremely rude, abrupt ending there. So yeah, Timket was a beautiful occasion. Thousands of people in Birmingham come out to see the procession of the tabots. And yeah, just kind of just faith in action. I'm not going to get into description too much. I'd rather stay with the chapter in terms of this reading. But what these feasts are doing, I'll use Timket as an example. There was a short fast that went along with Timket, which was fasting from the Friday through to last night, Saturday, when the procession started and the service started. So it was a very short fast, but again, the fast helps concentrate the mind for the spiritual occasion that's about to occur. And all these different fasts that I've spoken through are opportunities for the people to, one, give thanks for certain occasions in the relationship with God. So we've got there, when God brought the children of Israel out of Egypt. We've got Passover. That's helping people remember that time and give thanks for that time. And also what's doing, like Yom Kippur, but it's not only with Yom Kippur, that it absolutely helps people just focus, recalibrate, reset, and get back into a kind of a godly path. Because, if you think about it, even with the 6 days of work and the 7th days of rest, and the 6th day we're doing this, we're doing that, we're busy, we're working, we're rushing up and down, we've got meetings, and, we're doing whatever. It's like, okay, but when are you spending time for God? When are you even spending time for you? When are you spending quality time for family and prayer and meditation? When are you just slowing down and not living an external life for others, but actually living a simple existence, when actually the only things that you're concerned about are, your immediacy, rather than what's happening over there, email, etc., etc. When you're just quietening down, slowing the pace down, and just being slightly more reflective. And this is what a lot of these feasts are all about. Even though they've got different rituals attached to them, they've got different meanings attached, different regulations, if you like. Can't quite find the words, but they all have a slightly different flavor, a slightly different tone to them. But I think in essence, what it's just asking people to do is just take some time for yourself, take some time for your community and your family, and take some time for God. And there's just different types of resetting. So if you think about Christmas, and when I say Christmas, I mean the December the 25th Christmas, not the January the 7th. So even people that don't celebrate Christmas on January the 7th, often they will still have time off work. Often it's still a time when family will come together and eat. It's probably the only time you're sat around the table eating a meal with these people since that time the year before. Even if you're not doing the religious part, there's a time to come together. And I know it's full of consumerism. I'm not going to get into that bit, but just in terms of those core bits, a time for family to come together. So then think about it with the relationship with God on top of that. That is actually also a time to give thanks to God and give thanks to, all that God's done for you in the preceding year. So that layered on top of this quality family time is also quality family time with God. Don't forget, we call him our Father. Our Father who art in heaven. So God is a part of us. We are his children. That family language in our relationship, God is there very deliberately. So where is our quality time with God? When are we making space for that in our lives? Again, God has just asked for the seventh day to be made holy and for that to be a day of rest. Whether it's a Saturday or Sunday, it's one day out of the seven. But we still find that very difficult to do. So these feasts, seven feasts, the Ethiopian Orthodox tradition have got many feasts and many fasts. I don't keep up with them all. Sometimes I get a message, through the WhatsApp group to say, oh yeah, the fast. I'm like, oh, and the message was sent yesterday and the fast has already started, and I know I'm not the only one like that. You don't even realize the fast is upon you and is already, 24 hours in or something. There's a lot of fasts. And I believe it's well documented that says that the Ethiopian Orthodox Church has got more fast than any other religious community, than any other in the world. So yeah, I think it's an interesting one. Some of them are optional, and some of them that are only the priests do, but people can do them as well. But then there's others like the Great Fast, Abbe Siom, and also the Fast of the Prophets, Abbe Siom, which is the Great Fast. That's Lent essentially, and that's 55-day fast. And then the Fast of the Prophets, which is leading up to January the 7th. So is leading up to Christ's birth, and that's 43 days. But it's not no eating throughout that whole time. As I've said before, it's midnight for the night before up until about 3 o'clock the next day, and then you only eat vegan food after that throughout the duration of the fasts. But if you've got a medical condition, if you're pregnant, and if you're old, or and even if you're just finding it difficult, you can break the fast, say a prayer, and then carry on when you're then able to carry on. You can talk to a priest if you want to, but that's the kind of the common sense guidance of it. It's not designed to make you ill, but it is designed to, again, focus the mind and put the quality of your meditation into God and into giving thanks for God, but also to take care of yourself. There's nothing wrong with the detox in this day and age, really. So this has been my longest reasoning to date, but I think for good reason, because there's a lot here, and it chimed very neatly with actually what's going on in the real world in terms of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church observance of Timket, Epiphany yesterday and today. So blessed love, give thanks for these few words, give thanks that I have the opportunity to do this occasion. I feel very privileged to be able to read and reason and use technology in this way. In America, they're losing TikTok. I do upload these to TikTok as well as my Instagram and YouTube. So if you are listening on TikTok, please do a search for Ethiopian Bible, a chapter a day, and you'll be able to find my Instagram and YouTube channel. And I have had some messages on TikTok asking for that, and I did put up a notice this morning about that as well. So yeah, just blessed love. Have a blessed day today. Whatever you do, just glory to God. Keep that meditation, keep that strength, keep that focused, and God willing, be back more tomorrow. Blessed love.